Hello friends, SentinalhMC here, and welcome back to our ChromatiCraft tutorial series. Yeah, so you're probably wondering, why is there a ChromatiCraft episode on Friday? Well, the answer is the server for the Rev series hasn't been up for us to record, and I'm working like 10 hours tomorrow, so I needed something that I could make and put up quickly. So tutorial episodes are quick to make, they don't take very long, and they don't take long to upload, so they're perfect in cases like this. There's an enemy on the radar. It's probably there it is. Anyway, so yeah, in this episode we're going to talk about two things that are going to make farming better in ChromatiCraft. We're going to take a look at the fertility blooms and the enrichment vines. So if we open up our lexicon, we can see what these do. So the fertility bloom, as the name might suggest, is used to speed up the growth of crops. All right, and it's pretty darn cheap as well, which is a plus. And the enrichment vine is used to improve, speed up, and improve the plants that improve the area around them. So basically, you can take a fertility bloom and you can put it on top of an enrichment vine, and it makes it better. So we're going to take a look at both of these, and I'm going to show you the difference: the normal fertility bloom and without the enrichment vine, and then with the enrichment vine, and you'll be able to see the difference. Okay, so first things first, crafting the fertility bloom. The fertility bloom is crafted in a casting table using a Galazio crystal shard, which, if you remember, gives you speed potions, so it makes sense. 2 of any kind of leaf, 2 of any kind of flower, including the ChromatiCraft flowers, and 2 redstone dust. So it's extremely cheap, which is the main point I want to make here. Alright, so as far as this goes, it's quite useful, and it's quite cheap. Now, in order to make it, you have to place some runes down, and the particular runes that you need to place are a Galazio rune and a Kajani rune. So that's just, the light blue one and then the deep green one, and you put them over here. So that is 2 blocks to the right of your casting table, and then 1, 2, 3 on the 4th and 5th block to the north. Alright, you place the Galazio one first, and then place the Kajani rune. If you want to see that from the air, it looks like this. Make sure you're facing north, as always. So if I whack this with my manipulator, nice little sparkles, and we can take ourselves a fertility bloom. So let's go and plant it down, shall we? I've still got my little crystal plants over here. I'm waiting to see if the center one changes and looks different at some point, because Reika did confirm that planting them like this, the enhanced ones, will cause the central one to become a primal bloom. But so far, it doesn't look any different from the ones around it. So we'll see. If it changes, I will let you know. Alright, so we just find a little spot to ourselves that we can clear. There we go. This will be fine for our purposes, as long as there's nothing blocking the light, which I don't think these leaves actually are, but we'll just clear out a little bit of space. Alright, so I don't actually want there to be a hole there, so let's go ahead and we'll fill these in, and then I will go ahead and hoe out a bit of an area, just a 3x3 area, so you can get a feel. We'll plant our seeds, and then we'll place down in the center our fertility bloom, because you do have to hoe the ground in order to plant it. As soon as we plant it, you'll notice a couple of things that it does. First, it wets the ground. It hydrates the soil, which is really actually quite nice. RotaryCraft has a way of doing that. Many other mods have ways of doing that, and ChromatiCraft, the fertility bloom, does do that. And now if we look, we can see that the plants that are directly adjacent to the fertility bloom are growing much faster than the ones in the corners, which are still at 0%. So what we can gather from this is that the fertility bloom affects the plants that are adjacent to it, right? Now if we do some more hoeing, then we can see the extent of the fertility bloom's sort of hydration ability. It tends to be about 2 blocks away. See, so it'll slowly hydrate the area. It'll unhydrate and then rehydrate, but it'll tend to hydrate the 3x3 area around it, and then again one more row on each side of it as well of that. So it hydrates 2 blocks away from itself. Now if I plant more plants and we just keep planting seeds outside around here, then what you'll notice is, of course, again, only the plants directly adjacent to the fertility bloom are actually being affected. Now ChromatiCraft has ways of extending the range of things, so don't worry too much about it. It's not like, oh, this thing is crap, because it's not crap. In this episode we'll see that a way to improve it, and then there's other ways that you can improve things as well. So these two are already grown compared to the other ones, which are barely even begun. And I need to be in survival mode to actually right click and, oh no, I can't right click and harvest it. I have to left click because this isn't like an AgriCraft seed. But it does work with AgriCraft, I'm sure. I'm sure it just works with any plant, and it's causing them to grow more quickly. Now if you notice, this one's growing more quickly as well. It took a while, but it does appear that the fertility bloom will affect plants within 2 blocks, possibly more. I'm not actually sure, away from it in the cardinal directions. But we can make this quite a bit better, and you'll be able to see it better once we use the Enrichment Vine. So we'll go back to our casting table, and we'll take a look at how to craft an Enrichment Vine. The recipe, if we take a look, is 4 leaves, a redstone, 2 flowers, and 2 Galazio crystal shards. So it's very similar to the other one, just a different arrangement, and 1 more Galazio shard and 1 less redstone, and 2 more leaves. So we'll put our leaves in the corners, our redstone in the center, Galazio crystal shards top and bottom, and poppies left and right, or whatever flower you want to use. Now I can't craft it because I got to place some runes down. The rune arrangement that we need for the Enrichment Vine is like this. Above, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4 at y-1. So yeah, that's the Galazio rune that we used before. So it uses the same Galazio rune as the fertility bloom. So once you've placed that, you don't have to place another one. But we got to go the other way to the left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 down and place a Kajani rune. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 down here. We'll place a Kajani rune there, right there below our Zabaru rune that we had there before. And we can now craft 2 enrichment vines for that one recipe, which is quite nice. So you do get 2 for the cost of, well, not much more than the cost of a fertility bloom, which is nice. So now we have our enrichment vines. Well, let's go and use it. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll beat off the fertility bloom, get rid of it, and then I will also get rid of these plants that have grown up a bit. We'll take our seeds and we'll replant them. And then here's how you use the enrichment vine, at least with the fertility bloom. Instead of planting the vine on top of the dirt, we want to break the dirt because we want the fertility bloom to be at the same level as these seeds. So I'll place the enrichment vine down, and then we'll place the fertility bloom on top of it. You notice that it allows you to plant it there. And now if we watch, we'll be able to see the ones that are growing more quickly than the others. And they're going to grow more quickly, or they're going to grow even more quickly than with just a normal fertility bloom. If you look, they are growing quite a bit faster. Still in the cardinal directions, but they are growing, and they are growing faster than they did with just the standard fertility bloom. So the enrichment vine does definitely improve our fertility bloom. It improves it in a pretty substantial way. I would highly recommend combining these if you're going to make use of them. Now, because it only seems to affect plants in the cardinal directions, you might be thinking that it's, well, what's the good of this? My farms aren't put in the cardinal directions. See right here, these 4 grew, these ones are growing at the standard pace. Well, I came over here and I kind of like tried to arrange these things in a way that tried not to overlap. But if you go ahead and you place a bunch of these things down on top of enrichment vines, you can of course cover an entire farm. If you place them creatively, then you can, to some extent, avoid overlapping their areas. But if you do overlap their areas, I don't know if the effect stacks, but it might, in which case it would just speed up the crop growth even more, which is, a good thing. Let's actually test this out. Let's see if we place just a whole ton of fertility blooms down, if we can't get a plant to grow like really fast. So this will be a fun test. So we'll get rid of that. We'll hoe that. We'll place this down, and we'll see how fast it grows. We'll see if it grows substantially faster or not. It doesn't at the moment. Look at that. I'm not actually sure. It doesn't seem like it's growing radically quickly. I don't know if it's benefiting from all 4 of these fertility blooms, but it does actually seem to be growing very quickly compared to the other ones. So yeah, I do think that works. So if you have a farm, you can overlap the areas on these, and it will still give you an effect. It will still it'll stack. So you're not wasting efficiency by overlapping them. One of the main points of these fertility blooms is that you can plant them. You plant them in the field just fine, and improved efficiency, right? So there are other plants that you can do here, but we're going to talk about those later because they have a bit more to them than this. Fit neatly in the farm area, yeah. The fertility bloom definitely fits neatly in the farm area because you don't need to have any supporting devices to it. I quite like the fertility bloom, although I don't know, for my money I think I prefer the sprinklers from RotaryCraft, but that's just me. And those do require water. These fertility blooms do not, which is a big plus in a pack like Revolution, where you have to hydrate the soil or it'll unhoe, and so, and there's finite water. So if you're playing with finite water and you're playing a pack like Revolution where you have to hydrate the ground, you can either create an infinite water supply a different way, or you could just plant these fertility blooms, which both hydrate the ground and boost the growth of crops that are at least in the cardinal directions to it. Now, I'm not going to say 100% that they only affect the cardinal directions, because Reka might come back and say, well, the cardinal directions grow fastest, but then it spreads. I don't know. It appears that it only affects the plants that are in the cardinal directions. It does affect 2 on each side, even without the enhancement vine, or enrichment vine. But if you have the enrichment vine, it does work much more quickly, and it's much more noticeable. So anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. It's pretty much it for the fertility bloom. And then the enrichment vine can also work with other plants. And when I talk about these other plants, then we'll talk about that more with the enrichment vine. Maybe I'll get someone to data mine the enrichment vine to see everything that it works on. But as far as this episode about the fertility bloom and introducing the enrichment vine, I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. I know it's a bit of a simple one and it's a bit quick, but everyone's got to grow crops, especially if you're playing ChromatiCraft or any of Reka's mods. RotaryCraft has plants that you need to grow. These things can be quite useful. Obviously, there are some mods that give you even more powerful tools to speed up crop growth, and of course, ChromatiCraft is one of those. This is an early game cheap option. Later on in the mod, well, at the end game, you can acquire those crop growth accelerators, which are basically these supercharged versions of this. But as far as an entry-level, pretty early game way to boost crop growth, I think the fertility blooms have a place. They definitely have a place. So, let me know if you agree. So like and comment down below if you did enjoy the video. Join our Discord if you're interested. Like I said, by the time you're watching this, I'll have been at my job for already like 5 hours, with 5 hours to go because it's going up at 5. But getting more hours is nice, and I don't mind it. Coming in and doing that because I actually quite like it. So thank you to all of you who are supporting the channel, even though, you know, I'm not as active in the community as I used to be. I can't answer the comments nearly as often as I used to because I'm not here all the time. So thank you so much for being supportive. I'm Sentinel H, and I'm signing out.